Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. More gentlemen, I think, than ladies by far that watch this channel. But if you're a lady and you're watching it, do appreciate you. We got some good news and we got some bad news when it comes to my journey with selling options for some extra income. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about Sofi's upcoming earnings coming up on Tuesday, so it's right around the corner. And this is going to be an apology video. Not really, but I do apologize for one thing. It's for not telling you sooner to hit that subscribe button. And also, if you want to learn some more and help out the channel, greatly appreciate it. You can check out my course. It's down below in the description. It's a condensed version of everything I know when it comes to selling options, and I'm continuously adding to this as time progresses. So really appreciate you even considering it. But really, the apology goes to, I said I was going to make a video every day this week or last week, because my goal was to make at least $100 a day selling options and getting that great premium that we love from selling options. And I did make a video on Friday, one, because I wasn't home, and two, I was just so embarrassed because I really touted throughout the whole week how easy it was to make $100 a day in options and premium, at least for me. And I got really cocky, and unfortunately, if we look at my 3 trades that I made on Friday, a total of $86. So we're off by $14. I was humbled, and here I am looking like a loser. And there's a few reasons for this. One is I just don't have any more options to sell for the time being. Like, I could sell some more covered calls if I wanted to on stocks like Sofi, but I want to keep my options open, no pun intended, because earnings are coming up Tuesday, and I want to keep at least, some shares on the sideline that aren't tied up in selling covered calls. And so because of that, and because I'm just rolling some previously existing options because they're in the money right now, that's why I only got $86 in premium on Friday, which is pretty far off compared to the rest of the days throughout the week. I was making, I think, at least $400 one of the days this week, maybe another 200 and something another day, and then Friday, 86. So a drastic difference. And what I thought was going to be a pretty easy goal turned out to be not so much. I did sell some puts on Sofi coming up into earnings, since we're talking about earnings coming on Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday morning. I sold an $11 put. I'm okay with owning Sofi on another 100 shares at $11 a piece. Because of that, I made $17. This is pretty far out of the money right now. I think Sofi is nearing $13 a share, closing on Friday. So it would have to dip well over 10% in a week for this to be in the money, which I'm not saying isn't possible, but that's pretty far off. So $17 for being that far out of the money, I was okay with that. And I did sell a couple more covered calls. I think there was 2 total here to amount to $34 in premium. And these were at $15 strike prices, which is wild. I love earnings season because, yes, there is some greatly implied volatility, some great increases implied volatility, but there's also huge premiums coming with earnings. And being this far out of the money, I'm okay with selling a couple hundred shares at $15 easily and making $34 in premium just for creating that contract. I'm okay with. Next week's going to be super interesting because I have a lot of covered calls that are in the money. So if we look at a Robinhood $40 covered call, for instance, that is expiring next Friday. This one's kind of a hard pill to swallow because at the time it was pretty far out of the money, and then Robinhood, as you may know, ripped up in price. So now I'm stuck holding this contract that I sold a covered call on and just continuously rolling for the foreseeable future. Something also to note, we also have Robinhood earnings next week as well. This one's on April 30th, so one day after Sofi's earnings. And these are 2 of the stocks that I've been selling a lot of options on, both Robinhood and Sofi. So of course, I'm going to be paying close attention to these 2 stocks and might just be continuously rolling my covered calls. And I'm okay with that. I mentioned this in my last video. I don't plan on selling the underlying stock anytime soon. I'm just selling these covered calls for income. So if I have to roll it a month at a time and make an extra, $20 or so per roll, then it is what it is. I'm not in any rush. I'm going to try to retain the Robinhood shares and just keep rolling over time until eventually, hopefully, someday, I'll be out of the money. And that's the risk you take when you sell calls. It's not a totally risk-free investment like some others may lead you to believe. You can try as hard as you can for it to be close to risk-free, but it's never inherently risk-free. And maybe this is an example of me not trying very hard for it to be risk-free because I sold covered calls when the stock went down, when I could have just waited for it to potentially recover and then start selling covered calls. But at this point, it's too late to dwell on the past. I'm just going to have to deal with the reality. As I mentioned with Sofi, I still have, it looks like 1,400 shares that I could continue to sell covered calls with because the rest of it is tied up with previously sold covered calls. But I really just want to wait. I want to keep a certain amount of shares just in my portfolio, not tie them up in covered calls, just to see what earnings does. To me, I think that's the reasonable route and responsible route. But I'll tell you what, the options premiums for Sofi before earnings, like I said, that $15 one, I can even go at $15.50, make $10 a contract just for 1 week of time, being this far out of the money. It is super, super tempting to just put the remaining $1,400 at this $15.50 strike price and make an extra $140 from this one trade. And you might have noticed the amount of shares I have on Sofi has gone up since the last few videos. And that's because, as I make that premium, I just continue to buy the shares with it. I could let the money sit in my portfolio and maybe gain some interest or something, but instead I'm just reinvesting it into the stocks that I'm selling options on and basically doing its own version of compounding. So that's what's going on over here. Let me know how you guys are doing. Really appreciate hearing from you. And if you want to go check out the course, like I said, it's down in the description. Much appreciated. And I hope to see you in a future video.